Hi, this is Jeff Muir, Director of Client Relations at Beal Properties, welcoming you to our client property management YouTube page. And this video is going to be going over some frequently asked questions for new clients, especially once we start management. There's a month or two process to get everything up and rolling. And these are the questions that consistently I get asked. So before we do that, I want to remind everybody that we manage properties anywhere in the state of Michigan. We started in Ypsilanti 20 years ago, and you can see on this map here, for every pin is a city that we manage in, and almost all of these cities we manage multiple properties. And in addition, we've recently opened up physical office in Lansing and Grand Rapids, and then we have our home base here in Ypsilanti, Michigan, as well as office and staff in Toledo. And due to our growth, we've added Chris Sullivan to handle the west side of the state, so Lansing and West. He is in charge of client relations and new business development. And then east of Lansing, including Detroit, Ann Arbor, Ypsi, Flint, Toledo, and everything in between and around there is myself. And we would appreciate referrals, or if you're looking to expand your portfolio, give me a call or shoot me an email anytime. Happy to talk to you about how we can help with that. Also, for all of our clients, an open invitation to connect with myself and Stuart Beal. We're happy to go out to lunch with you or meet you for dinner, talk about what your goals are and how we might be able to help bring that about. So we manage about 3,000 properties, and we own or partly own roughly 40% of those. So one of the reasons that our system works and that we're growing is we manage our properties the same way we're going to manage yours and vice versa. So everything we do to increase the value of properties that we own and manage, we're going to do the same things for your properties. So today I want to dip into the most frequently asked questions. And after a lot of new clients came in this past year, these were the things that just consistently in the first 60 days I would get emails and phone calls about. So I want to walk through these with everybody. And again, we very much appreciate you trusting us to manage your property. So the first question is, when can I expect rents to be deposited to my account? With accounting and just the way property management goes, we do things in a calendar month. At the end of that month, we audit all the expenses and revenue and any bills, anything like that. We book those, and then those show up on your account the first few days of the following month. There's another video in here on how to get into your owner portal and see the financial report. So refer to that in terms of background for this, but we pass along your rental revenues minus expenses typically on the 5th business day of the month following the month that we're talking about. So if we started managing your property on November 1st and all of your tenants paid rent that month, and there weren't, expenses exceeding, those revenues, you'll see those funds typically during the second week of the following month. So in this case, it would be December. Once we ACH those funds to your account on the 5th business day of the month, it typically takes 2 to 3 days for your bank to make those funds available. So, for newer clients, if we collect rent in, let's say April 1st, you're going to see that flow to your account, a couple days after the 5th business day of May. So that's something we just like to be upfront and transparent about. The next question would be, why do I not see rent funds in my account? So there's, a few common reasons initially why this could happen. So we pass along your rental income minus expenses as outlined in the contract, and our terms vary depending on the size of the portfolio, the condition of the properties, the rent roll, occupancy, that kind of thing. So let's say we turn a vacant apartment, we paint it, we clean it, do some landscaping, maybe some floor work. Then the next month you email me or call me and say, hey, how come I didn't get my rent? That's because what we're doing is the rent is backfilling those expenses. So the alternative to that is you can always make an owner contribution. So refer to the other video on the owner web portal about how to make an owner contribution. It's 3 or 4 steps. Typically what we'll do is, for any work that we're doing, we'll get a scope of work, get some quotes, run the quotes by you. You'll approve the quotes, then we'll get the work scheduled, and we'll ask you to make an owner contribution. So once the work's done and approved by us, we can go ahead and pay that bill off. If you don't do that, what's going to happen is rental revenue that comes in is going to go to, pay that amount. It's definitely the preferred procedure and the official procedure to have you make an owner contribution. But this is can be a common scenario for new client properties. The first couple months are a transition, both for getting any work done to make it, look awesome, and so we can show it and get it rented right away at the top market rents. There's usually some expenses involved in that. So the next question is, what about security deposits? And this is something that could definitely, initially for a new property or new portfolio that we bring in, make it appear like the numbers don't make sense. So let's say you hire us to manage a fourplex that's occupied, and we take over that. For all the leases in the system that we are managing that specify a security deposit amount, that total amount needs to be held in reserve in your account. So what happens not all that infrequently is an owner will hire us to manage a property that they just bought. It has existing tenants, and they don't give us the security deposit. So what's going to happen then is the first month or two, the rent that's being paid is going to go and populate that security deposit portion of your account. The alternative to that, and the preferred and official way to do this, is when you hire us to manage something and there's tenants in there, you just make an owner contribution up front for the amount of those security deposits. And that way, essentially, you're starting at zero. So all the income that comes in after that point, minus any future expense or our management fee, is going to flow directly to you. Another common question would be something like, hey, you started managing my property on November 1st, but it looks like none of the tenants have paid rent yet. How come? And I always tell owners that I'm talking to who are inquiring about our property management services, especially people who are just starting their portfolio, the first month, potentially 2 months with a new property management company that's a transition period. So frequently people who are buying an income property and hiring us to manage it, if they got a good deal on the property, there's a reason that they got a good deal, which might be tenants have been paying in cash, it's way under market in terms of rent, it hasn't been managed well, and the person selling it is basically just getting rid of it. You're taking over it and looking to turn it into something with us that's going to produce revenue for a long time for you. That can be, maybe not shocking, but that's a transition for the tenants. And oftentimes, when we take over management and start communicating with those tenants that might have been there 10 years, 5 years, 15 years, they will go through, song and dance of, hey, I, don't know who you are. I'm not giving you my information. Well, I always paid my rent this way. Why does this have to be so complicated? That's all stuff we expect, we know how to handle, and just give us a month or two to do our job. We get everyone on the same page. We get them paying their rent and get them comfortable with us. So, but just do expect, that first month or two to be a transition in a situation like that. Another question that we get asked a lot is if there's work that needs to be done, a service issue's entered, or maybe we start managing a vacant property that you just bought and we're getting it ready to pass an inspection. We get quotes to, I don't know, repair windows or put a railing on a deck, something like that. We'll get asked, well, I don't really want to pay for that. Can't we just skip it? So the answer there is we're going to get you, the best quote we can from contractors that we trust. And once you hire us, we're legally responsible for the management and maintenance of that property. It is unfortunate if a tree falls on a roof or if there's flood, as we've had in Michigan, a few times this past year. Unforeseen things that can cause major expenses, but to legally rent the property and for us to be able to manage it, certain work needs to be done. So we cannot always skip that work, but we always do our due diligence and work with contractors that we trust to, get you both the best price and with someone that's going to do quality work, so it's going to pass the inspection and you're not going to get fined. And then the last question that we address here is, how do I understand my disbursement? So this is kind of a recap of the first question, but on the 5th business day of the month, all bills and management fees will have been calculated and completed for the previous month. So any maintenance, any materials, our management fee, rental revenue received. So through the owner portal, you can run that owner statement that's described in the previous video and run that report from the first day of the previous month to the last day of the previous month. And then you'll see everything in there spelled out. Rent that was paid, the management fee, if there happened to be some small maintenance issue that cost a few dollars, and assuming that we have, the security deposit that we're holding and there's no deficit in your bank account, then that money's going to flow right to you. So again, thank you very much for trusting Beal Properties to manage your properties, and we look forward to growing with you. And if you ever have any questions, you can give me a call or send me an email at jeff.muir@gobeal.com. And with that, we will end this tutorial here.